Welcome to Monday. It's the 23rd day of September 2024. It's the first full day of fall officially. I want to thank meteorologist Mark Kewer and Donald Watzel for filling in while I was gone here over the last week and a half. Back in the saddle, and I came back just in time to enjoy some really nice fall weather. So we saw fall come in officially last night, and we did see that system go across the central and southern Rockies, pulling in some cool air. So some of you are waking up to a cool morning. Some of you may have a little bit of frost, especially in parts of western Wyoming, southern and southwestern areas of Montana and eastern Idaho. But high pressure is going to be moving back in. So fall is in the air. There's a great fall photo right there of those darker blue skies you get this time of year. Rain chances are pretty meager. We really aren't going to see much going on. We've got nice fall weather coming here for another week with low rain chances, warm, hard temperatures, and for those of you watching out for that first hard freeze, could we have some frost? Yeah, some of you already have. But that killer freeze where you're down into the mid to upper 20s for several hours, it's not on the table yet, at least through this work week and probably at least through Saturday. So your growing season's going to get extended here for another week. Also, we have a new La Nina update to pass along. So this fall is in the air. There's a great fall photo there from the Panhandle in Nebraska. Then, nice shot there out of Rocky Mountain National Park this past weekend. Saturday night into Sunday, snow fell over a lot of the higher mountains of Colorado as that small low, took a track south into those areas all the way down into Leadville. We've got just that great contrast of fresh snow on the mountain peaks, changing fall colors with the aspen. It's going to be a beautiful week. Speaking of fall colors, this is a really good week to go out and check them out. High pressure is coming on into the region. You can see very little cloudiness. This is the low that came across the southern Rockies over the weekend, is now headed into the lower Mississippi Valley. And as you'll see in the water vapor loop, you can see the moisture here, but dry air is coming behind it. We have some Pacific moisture coming into the Pacific Northwest, getting directed up into Canada, but you can kind of see the flow of air like this. High pressure is building into the region. This is where we are this morning. That low moving out, high pressure builds on in. We're going to have this low, and we're going to see this low up in Alaska just kind of spin around for a good week or so. And when you get a low up here, it tends to build the high pressure over the Rockies. So what tends to happen is high pressure stays along the west coast. When a low's up here, you have systems that come in from the northwest, and we'll show you that here in a minute. But for the most part, the most active weather is going to be in the southeast and east central areas of the U.S. where it's going to be very wet. By Wednesday of this week, high pressure ridge builds strongly right over the Four Corners area. We have a low consolidating here. We have what is going to be a tropical storm or hurricane headed towards the Florida Panhandle by late in the week. But high pressure is going to cover the Rockies and the western high plains. And we still have this large area of low pressure up here. And as long as it stays up there, we're going to have fair weather here, interrupted occasionally by fronts spinning off that low. So this is where we are through Thursday morning. So precipitation going to be most prominent on the eastern side of the country, from the northern plains to most of the Rockies in the desert southwest. Very, very dry. Little bit of shower activity in the Pacific Northwest there up into British Columbia. But the rest of the west, from western Canada through the desert southwest, very quiet weather-wise. By Saturday, what's going to be left of the hurricane is going to get pulled into that low, and it's just going to sit there. So this is a log jam. So we've got a log jam. We've got this low spinning around here, caught between these two highs. We have that low up in Alaska. So generally speaking, high pressure, the jet stream is going to look like this. It's a log jam. Things just aren't going to be moving along this week. Hence the very quiet, well, quite frankly, boring weather, but weather that a lot of you should rightly like because it's going to be pretty pleasant. This is for the second half of the week through Sunday. So you can see how wet Florida, parts of the Gulf Coast, southeast, lower Mississippi Valley again gets very, very wet. So water levels on the Mississippi continuing to go up, while out west, again, very little going on. Hence, the really nice weather that will likely occur probably through at least Saturday to check out those changing fall colors. Now, the next change in the weather comes in about a week from today. But between now and next Monday, this is the temperature anomaly. Canada and most of the U.S. pretty warm. Just some coolness here where the rain and the clouds will be more prevalent, but warmer than average everywhere else. By Monday, we're going to have one of these fronts spin off the low in Alaska, which is still there a week from today. But it's going to spit out little waves. So we do have a wave that could come along in the east of the divide Sunday into Monday. And this could bring a shot of cooler air. Now, will it be enough to bring a freeze? Is the freeze coming here? I don't think so, at least a hard one. But there is going to be a pretty good cool down, as you can see here, by late Sunday into Monday. So really, it's a week from today before the next significant front comes in. There'll be some moisture with it, but not a lot. But that's the next cool down, basically a week from today, which is going to be right at the end of September. Now, if we go out further, this is looking all the way out to a week from this Friday, which is Friday, October 4th. The Gulf of Alaska low is starting to move off from up here. It's now moving into the Gulf of Alaska. Notice this high here. So what we're going to be watching is if this high continues to build, eventually, we talked about a log jam, the dam breaks. So if we're looking at when maybe that harder chance for that hard freeze, a better chance for that hard freeze, is probably going to wait till that first week of October, because this is a pattern right here that will release some colder air, more significant air from the cold along the north slope of Alaska, the Northwest Territories. We'll see. But until then, they're looking at a jet stream pattern that's kind of stuck in gear. So we've got a good 6-7 days here of some really nice weather. Quick La Nina update. These are the sea surface temperature anomalies as of this past weekend. So you can see La Nina right there. It's weak. It's not strong at all. But it is kind of coming into its own right now. And if you look at where we were a year ago, it's quite remarkable. This is how dynamic the oceans are. And remember, every day the weather changes in the atmosphere. Well, every day the oceans go through their own processes. They just take a little bit longer to develop. So here we are with La Nina now. This is where we were a year ago. So a year ago, El Nino, completely the opposite. So here we are right now. These warm sea surface temperature anomalies right here will play a role come November, December, January, if they're still there, and they're likely going to be. We have the new forecast that came out earlier this month for the probabilities of La Nina for the rest of the season. So this is August, September, October, so these are 3-month periods. The peak chance of La Nina is November through December. So we're basically seeing La Nina come into its own, then see how it just tails off, and it falls off sharply after the first of the year, and the potential for a neutral status and even the potential for an El Nino by spring starts to go up. So the trend of La Nina goes down by the new year, neutral or El Nino chances go up after that time frame. So this goes along with the long-range forecast we put out a couple of weeks ago, which is the weakening La Nina by December and January is going to lead to that potential for some colder, more active winter weather as we go ahead into the last days of 2024 into the first quarter of 2025. Have yourself a good Monday. We'll see you tomorrow.